Okay, today is December 13th. 2025. It's our 113th meeting, reading the Urantia book with Heidi. We keep reading paper 118. Why there are echo? Can you mute?
No, I'm not on mute.
Are you on mute?
Can you hear? No, you can't hear me?
No, I always hear my echo.
Oh, can you hear me though?
Yeah.
Okay.
No. Okay, let's continue. We keep reading paper 118, Supreme and Ultimate Time and Space, Section 6, Omnipotence and Omnificence. 今天我们是与海蒂读玉书第113次会议。继续读第118篇《至高者与终极者：时间与空间》第6部分，全能和全创。Heidi.
Okay. Let's see. Yeah, we're finishing up paper 118. We've got a few more sections. Today we're going to read section 6 of paper 118. Section 6 is called Omnipotence and Omnificence. Omnificence.
Omnipotence, and
Omnificence. Yeah, I know. I said it wrong too. I said omnificence.
No, I'm just mimic
Yeah.
our tone, because yeah, the tone should be put on the first syllable.
Yeah, I say omnipotence, omnificence. I have heard it said omnipotence, but I don't think that's correct.
Yeah, that's why I want to kind of learn from you. Yeah.
In fact, well, I should look it up, but this computer's not really set up yet, so I can't do things right yet. Okay, so let's get right into it. Section 6, Omnipotence and Omnificence. God is truly omnipotent, but he is not omnificent. He does not personally do all that is done. Omnipotence embraces the power potential of the Almighty Supreme and the Supreme Being, but the volitional acts of God the Supreme are not the personal doings of God the Infinite. To advocate the omnificence of primal deity would be equal to disenfranchising well nigh 1 million creator sons of paradise, not to mention the innumerable hosts of various other orders of concurring creative assistance. There is but one uncaused cause in the whole universe. All other causes are derivatives of this one first great source and center. And none of this philosophy does any violence to the free willness of the myriads of the children of deity scattered through a vast universe. All right, Shinli, you can try that. Okay. I'm assuming Shinli is here.
Okay. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
6. 全能和全创，神确实是全能的，但他不是全创的。 他不是亲自成就一切。全能包含了全能至高者和至高存在者的力量潜能，但神之至高者的意志行动并不是神之无限者的个人作为。鼓吹原初神灵创造一切，就等于剥夺了天堂的近百万个造物主之子的权利，更不用说无数其他各级协同创造助手的权利。整个宇宙中只有一个无音之音，所有其他的音都是这个第一伟大源头与中心的衍生品，而这些哲学理念丝毫不会侵犯散布在浩瀚宇宙中的无数神之子的自由意志。
Heidi?
Yeah.
I got a question.
Okay.
A million creator sun, the second paragraph. Creator sons mean what does creator sons mean? Is that those sons of the primal God are creators, or does that mean the sons of the creator? How
No. They always call them the creator sons are the part of God the sevenfold. The create like Jesus is a creator son.
Yeah, I know, but I try to find the exact accurate translation for this words, creator sons.
I understand the question, but it doesn't mean sons of the creator. It means sons that create. They call them. We've read that term many times. Creator sons.
Okay.
They're a type of being. They're beings that they are creators. Like we're not creator sons.
Got it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Start over from the first paragraph.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I forget offhand. We've read this, but I forget if creator sons is just the Michael sons. I think it's the Michael sons, just the creators of the local universes, but it could possibly be the master spirits and the like God. I think that's God the sevenfold. I really think the creator sons are just the Michael sons, the creator daughters. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that the creator sons are just the sons of the creators of the local universes, like Jesus, like Christ Michael.
Yes, Heidi, I'm sure because it's one of the last layer of the sevenfold was called the sevenfold.
Is the creator
sons and the creative daughters.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. And okay, so now so the first sentence, God is truly omnipotent. Oh, how's the sound on this? Good?
Mm-hmm. Good.
Okay. Good. God is truly omnipotent, but he is not omnificent. He does not personally do all that is done. So they're saying that God is omnipotent, which we know from the preceding sections, but they're saying he's not omnificent would mean that everything that gets done, this guy does. And they're saying, no, he doesn't do everything, because we've talked about this many times. God delegates. Anything anyone else can do, he gives it to them to do. He's the most unbelievable delegator. So that's what they're saying here. Just because he can do it doesn't mean he does do it. They're saying he doesn't do everything he can do. He only does what he does. And all these other beings are doing everything else. So that's what they're saying there. He does not personally do all that is done. Omnipotence, but they're saying his power is unlimited, but he doesn't do everything that he can do. Okay. Omnipotent. Oh, I'll let you translate that before I go on.
对，第一句呢是神确实是全能的，但他不是全创的，他不是亲自成就一切。就像以前我们一直读海底强调的，他不是，他是全能，但是呢，他也就是把能做的别人能做的工作，他是分配给别人去做，他不是亲力亲为，凡事亲为做所有的事情。所以他的能力是无限的，但是他并不亲自去做所有的一切。
Now remember, this whole section is about the supreme. So they're talking about how omnipotence and omnificence relates to the supreme being. Okay, so they say now they say omnipotence embraces the power potential of the Almighty Supreme and the Supreme Being. But the volitional acts of God the Supreme are not the personal doings of God the Infinite. So they're saying something similar here. They're saying omnipotence, unlimited power, embraces the Almighty Supreme and the Supreme Being. Acts of God the Supreme are not the personal doings of God the Infinite. So the volitional acts, what God the Supreme chooses to do, that's what volition is, what you will, what you choose. Volition is all about free will. So what God the Supreme, they're saying very similar to the first sentence. They're saying he is embraced by omnipotence, but what he chooses to do is not the personal doings of God the Infinite. So what God the Supreme does is not the same things as God the Infinite. That's what it's saying.
对，因为这一章是关于就是神之至高者的，然后呢，所以就是这一句话下面第二句就联系到至高存在者全能至高者，对，他就是提到就是神的这个全能，它实际上是相当于是蕴含在这个全能至高者和至高存在者的潜能当中的。然后就是神之至高者的意志行动，一说意志行动就是他有自由意志，跟自由意志有关，他可以有自由意志选择做什么，就是他这个意志行动是基于他这个全能之神给他的这个力量潜能的。
Okay, now to advocate the omnificence of primal deity would be equal to disenfranchising well nigh a million creator sons of paradise. Actually, more than, not to mention the innumerable hosts of various other orders of concurring creative assistance. I thought there was 10 million local universes, and that would be 70 million and 10 million in each super. So I don't know why they say well nigh a million. That doesn't make sense to me. But to advocate the omnipotence would be to. So they're saying they're basically talking about the delegation thing I talk about. They're saying if we were to insist that that God did everything, then you'd be disenfranchising the creator sons, not to mention innumerable hosts of various orders of assistance there, and then so they're saying you'd be taking away the job from all the creator sons and all the assistants. If God did everything, there'd be no purpose for all these millions of other creator beings.
对，因为创造的这个工作，它是很多的，神界存有它共同进行的，尤其是这个造物之子，那么还有其他的很多的协同创造助手。那么如果是神他亲自亲为做所有这些工作，相当于把别人的工作都请了。所以这是他不做的，就是要 delegate， 就是要委托给其他的能做的去做，能做的这个存有去做，他不会把所有其他人的工作都抢。
Now, I think it's possible that creator sons are still being created. It's possible that we can probably look this up in the book. It probably tells us whether they've all been created or whether there's some that haven't been created yet. I kind of think they all have been created, but I don't know why they say well nigh a million. I mean, do you guys remember how many? Aren't there 10 million local universes in a super universe?
In each? You mean in each super universe?
Yeah, aren't there 10 million local universes in a super universe, or am I wrong? Because why do they say well nigh a million creator sons? There would be way more than a million. There'd be 70 million. If they've all been created, and if there's 10 million local universes in a super universe, then there'd be 10 million creator sons in each super universe. So
他说他印象当中好像是每一个超级宇宙都有1000万个宇宙，那么就是有1000万造物之子。他说是不是他记错了要是这样的话，7个超级宇宙，那么得有7000万那个宇宙，7000万造物之子。
I'm a little confused about the numbers. I mean, it doesn't matter to understand what they're saying. That number is not important. I'm just curious.
There are about 700,000，就是70万个，是英语怎么说来着
？70万个就是
700,000 greater sons.
700,000?
Yeah.
But and so then they're right. Well nigh a million. That's close to a million. So they're right. I'm wrong. But how many? Can you confirm how many local universes there are in the super universe?
Oh, let me check.
So 那个好像就是70万个造物之子，70万个造物之子是每一个超级宇宙的。
就所有大宇宙
大宇宙所有的，那么就是70万个。所以他这个地方他说近一个
70万个地方宇宙，一样的，这个数目是一样的。
他说这个那就是这个文当中的这个近100万个，那么就是跟70万个比较接近的。
对，因为它还在增加当中，这个就是
Here I've got it on Super Universe 7.
70万个。
Oh, okay. There's 700,000. Here it says on page one. You don't have my book, so the page number doesn't matter. But in section Central and Super Universes, section paper 15, it says super universes 7. We know major sectors, minor sectors, local universes 700,000. Okay, so I was completely wrong. There aren't 10 million local universes. I was completely wrong about that. I don't know where I got that. Oh, here 10 there is 10 million worlds in one universe. Okay, there's 10 million worlds, not local universes. So that's what I completely mixed that up. Did you understand what I'm saying?
Oh,
Yeah, there's 10 million worlds in one universe. There's only 700,000. Well, no, there's 10 million worlds. Even in the 7 super universes, approximately each of the 7. Okay, in the plan of the universe, super universe is 7 local. Okay, so there's only 700,000 local universes in all 7 super universes. And one universe is 10 million worlds, one local universe. So if there's 700,000 local universes, then there's 100,000 local universes in each super universe, not 10 million. I was completely wrong, but I got that completely mixed up. So there's only 700,000 creator sons and daughters, because they're, every time there's a son, there's a creator. Every son has a partner. Okay, I'm glad we cleared that up, because that wasn't making
他说
sense.
那个第15篇 paper 大概是第一部分哈，第15篇就知道了。大概一共有70万个造物主的7个超级宇宙，然后大概每一个地方宇宙就是有1000万个可居住的世界，1000万个世界。
Well, in I hope if in any other previous sections I got that wrong, I'm making the correction now. If anyone noticed that I got that wrong in previous sessions, I apologize, and this is the correction. There are 700,000 creator sons and their partners, the creator daughters, and that would be 100,000 in each super universe. And there's 10 million worlds in each super universe, not local universes, but worlds. So Urantia is one of 10 million worlds. Now, they're not all inhabited yet, but when it's complete, there will be 10 million inhabited worlds in each. That's inhabited. That's not, there's other planets, but there's about 10. Yeah.
10 million in our local universe?
No, in each super universe. Oh, no, I'm sorry. In each local universe, there's 10 million worlds.
对，他就说这1000万个世界还没有完全的被，就是都被生灵居住，有一些大概还没有开发出来，还没住上这个生灵呢。Inhabited it means inhabited by creators.
Yeah, it doesn't say inhabited, but I'm assuming they're talking about inhabited because, we're not really concerned with empty planets or moons or, things like that. And when they say world, I think they mean inhabited. I think it would be planet otherwise.
Worlds 就是世界，应该指的是行星吧，或者就是宜居的行星。
Okay. Well, that's better. It was a little too big otherwise.
Yeah.
Too much to deal with. This is more manageable.
这个数字有的时候经常会记混，这个没关系的，这个跟这个法理没有太大关系。谁知道这数字 对我们没有任何意义，对我们来说没有任何意义。
Well, they're saying that if the primal deity, God the Father, the first source and center, if he did everything, if we were to insist, that he did everything, then there would be, then the creator sons would be out of business. They'd have nothing to do. He'd do it all for them. We don't want that. We want the creator sons to have their job. So that's what they're saying, that even if you can do everything, you choose not to. The gods choose to delegate.
对，即使这个原初之神，他能干所有的事儿，但是他也不会去这么做，他会委派造物之子去做这个事儿。
So when we say God created everything, God created the universe, blah, 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 it's not. God created the creators who created local universes.
所以说，神创造宇宙并不完全的正确，应该是神创造造物之子，造物之子创造了宇宙。
Okay, there is but one uncaused cause. I love the way they speak. They're so crazy. There is but one because remember before they were saying there are limits to unlimited power. Those weren't their words, they're mine, but that's what they were saying in essence. There are limits. Unlimited power isn't unlimited. You can't make a square into a circle. They're so funny. But God can't do the ungodly. There's limits to unlimited power, and now they're saying, wait. Now they're talking about uncaused causes. There is but one uncaused cause in the whole universe, and the other causes are derivatives of this one first great source and center. So they're just saying there's only one first source and center, and that's God the Father. He's the first source and center. So he is, okay. So they call these sources causes. It's like cause and effect, right? God is the cause, we're the effect, right? So they're saying there's only one uncaused cause. So all the other causes, all the other sources come from the first source, God. Only one doesn't come from, there's no other cause. He's not there. He's an uncaused cause because there is no cause for the first cause, at least none that any of us know or that the book is telling us about. When they talk about, it's like there's a famous line from, I think it was President Truman. He had a sign on his desk that said, "The buck stops here." Have you ever heard of that, Ricky? That's a famous American slogan. The buck stops here. Do you know what that means?
No.
It means you all down the food chain, you can blame someone else. You can blame the people you worked for. You can blame your boss. You can blame the other department. You keep blaming. You're saying, it's not my fault. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. I'm not responsible. But when you get to the president of the United States, it's like the buck stops here. He can't blame anyone. He has to take responsibility. That's what the buck stops here means. It means I take total responsibility as no one else to blame. And that reminds me of what they're saying here. The first cause and center is like the buck stops here. It's like, doesn't go any further. You can't God can't say, well, it was my creator. It was my father who made me this way. It's like it all starts with God.
Bug is what bug? How to spell that?
Buck, B-U-C-K, buck. The buck stops here. I don't know what they mean by buck.
B-E-C-K.
No, B-U-C-K, buck, like bucket, buck.
Oh, bug. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't look things up today because my computer's too new. I haven't set it up yet to have my dictionary
Oh.
handy, but I don't know what they mean by buck, because in English, buck, you could say he was a young buck, and a buck is a deer, a male deer is a buck, and a dollar bill is a buck, and you can call a young man a young buck, but we all know what this expression means. The buck stops here, but I don't know. I have to look up to see if there's another meaning for the word buck, but we all know what it means. And what they're saying here is the buck stops at the first cause. There's the uncaused cause. No one caused the first cause. And that bothers me personally, because I have a really hard, I've told you guys this before, but I have a really hard time wrapping my head around the idea that there was that God always existed, that there is no before God, or nothing created God, that God just always was. I can't understand that concept. That makes it like I think about that all the time, because it bothers me so much, because I can't understand.
对，它就是那句，整个宇宙之中只有一个无音之音，就是第一音嘛，第一源头啊。就想到就是好像一个什么总统的，是不是墓志铭上面就说的，就是所有的指责都止于此，就是那意思。总统是负最后的责任的，其他人都可以推诿说啊，他让我做的。但是呢，总统在最高的位置，那么他没有谁可以指责，他只能是负全责。那么这个宇宙第一因就是那个负全责的，所有原因的初始肇因。那么他年轻时候就总是就是一直想不通这个问题，神之前到底是什么？他不能想不通为什么神他是一再永在的这个概念，他也是很困惑。
You see, I think that's why I have such a hard time with it, because they're telling us right here, there's only one uncaused cause. Like everything in the entire master universe has a cause. You can always look back and see where it came from, when it, and even if it is like the eternal Son and the infinite Spirit, and they don't really have a beginning. Okay, that's hard enough to grasp. They kind of always were, but they came from God. You don't know. Okay, maybe they didn't have a beginning, but where they came from. They came from God. But so they're saying everything in the universe has a cause. You can trace it back and say this happened because of that. But God has no cause. There's no cause. He just always was, or created everything, always was. No beginning. That's only one like that. Only one person in the whole master universe like that.
就神就是那个无音之音，然后包括永恒之子啊、无限之灵啊，它也都是来自于神的，所以就是。
All other causes are derivatives of this one first great source. Well, we were talking about this last time. We're saying, God was kind of like there all by himself with all this stuff in his head. And he sort of had to create the Son and the infinite Spirit and kind of share it with, make all of us. And, it's like, it just wasn't so much fun being all by himself, But okay, so now this last, do you want to translate any of this? This last sentence is really, remember, this paper was written by a mighty messenger. So a mighty messenger is someone who was once a mortal being.
就是这个 关于这个至高存在者这些篇章都是由这个强大使者写的，强大使者那个曾经做过凡人。
So sometimes when you're reading papers by the mighty messengers, they're a little more, I feel, this is totally my view, I feel they're a little more relatable, a little more human. You know, some of the papers are written by beings that are like very formal, very, you can tell they're not, they don't, they kind of look upon us as if we're like weird creatures. But mighty messengers don't do that because they were once us.
对，所以呢，强大使者写的东西，还是我们读着还是能跟我们的实际经验都联系起来的，不是那么正式。
But this last sentence is just, it's, I wouldn't say it's very Urantia book necessarily, but it's very Urantia book in the sense that they're using words very creatively.
最后一句他也说也非常具有预言下的书的风味，用词啊，造句非常的有创造性。
So the sentence is, and none of this philosophy does any violence to the free willness of the myriads of the children of deity scattered through a vast universe. So it's just beautiful. I just think it's a very fun and beautiful sentence, but they're saying, and none of this philosophy does any violence to, you know, we wouldn't ordinarily say does any violence to. We would say none of this negates the fact that we all have free will. That's what the sentence is saying. They're saying none of this, the fact that God delegates and all the creators create, they all have their jobs and they make all this stuff. They say, nonetheless, rest assured, everyone still has free will. None of this negates the fact that every being has free will. That's all they're saying, but they say it in a very creative way.
对，那么另外一种说法可以说none of this philosophy negates the free will of blah blah， 就是否认否定，就是但是它的用语是说 does any violence， 然后意思就是说不用担心，就是这些的其他的所有的神之子的自由意志没有受到侵犯。
So none of this does any violence to the free willness. I mean, I think that's a kind of cute phrasing, the free willness. You know, we wouldn't ordinarily say that. It's correct English, but we wouldn't say the free willness. We might say it, but very, very rarely would we say the free willness of a person. We'd say their free will, but to say the free willness is kind of a nice way of saying it. And none of it does any violence, meaning none of this does any violence to the free willness. It's just, to me, a very cute and creative way of saying none of this negates it. It doesn't change the fact, but none of it does any violence, doesn't hurt it, doesn't hurt, you know, it doesn't do any violence to it. They're saying it doesn't hurt it or harm it in any way, you know?
对，并且他用的是 free willness 而不是 free will 然后呢，就是强调不会改变事实，不会引起伤害，对，就表达了这些意思，就是用一种非常 非常精巧的一种方式来表达这样的意思。
Okay. So, I mean, we do say, we say things like loveliness or kindness. I mean, there are words where we more often say kindness than the fact that all people are kind. We'd say the kindness of people, and so they're using it the way you use other words, but we don't necessarily use it very often in this context, but it's nice. It's nice to see it. I love the term free willness, our free willness. And now I'll go on to the next, unless you want to translate some of that.
他说那些名词后边再加上 ness， 就是什么 kindness 啊 ，loving loveliness 啊，还有 loving kindness 啊，对，就英文当中的这些的一些用法名词。But is there really a word called wellness?
Well, you see, that's what I'm saying. It's correct English, because you can add ness to something like the word is kind, but we say kindness. The word is lovely, but we say loveliness. When you add ness to something, it's putting it in a it's I don't know exactly the technical word, the grammatical word for it, but it's correct to add ness onto a word. Like it's like you can add onto the beginning. You could say unkind, right? The word is kind, but you can say unkind or kindness. It's an extension.
But all others is their adjective, and then plus ness becomes noun. But free will itself is already a noun.
Well, yeah, that's why it stands out to me as a little different. Free will, because they're using it more as if it were, I mean, I think they're thinking of it as volition, right? So they're thinking of it more as a verb. I think it is a noun, you're right, but they're thinking of it more as something we have, something we do. We use our free, they're putting, I think by saying free willness, I don't know. Let me see. I'm trying to think of another noun that we use with ness. I think you could say, yeah, you could say his talk. No, that's a verb again. That's an adjective. I can't think of another noun. But it's I mean, it's not incorrect to say it.
那反正这两种，我觉得应该有一些的 subtle 一些 different. But anyway, that's okay.
Yeah. Hold on one second. My battery, it looks like I have to plug something in. I have a really complicated setup here. One second. Chen-Li, you can go ahead and read the next two paragraphs.
OK，在局部框架内，是你那边有回音。在局部框架内，意志可能看似无音之音，但它始终展现出与独特本源和绝对的第一音建立联系的继承性因素。一切一直都是相对的， 就起源而言，就上父我是拥有意志的终结性；就绝对而言，只有上父、上子和上灵展现出不受时间制约、不受空间限制的意志特权。凡人被赋予自由意志及选择的权利，尽管这种选择并非绝对，但它在有限的层面上相对具有终结性，并且与选择者自身的命运息息相关。任何非绝对层面的意志都会受到限制，而这些限制正是行使选择权的人格本身所固有的。人无法在可选范围之外去做选择，例如，他无法选择成为非人类，除非他可以选择成为超越人类的存在。他可以选择踏上宇宙扬升之旅，但这是因为人的选择与神的意志恰好在这一点上一致。子之所愿，父之所愿，必将成就。
I'm going to try something else. Oh, okay. I'm almost ready.
Sorry.
One second. I'm almost
Yeah,
ready.
that's okay. I checked Gemini. There is indeed a free willness. The word free willness is see, it said while free will is a core philosophical concept, free willness is not a standard or formally recognized term based on standard English language rules. Free willness would describe the state or quality of possessing free will.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, it definitely.
State. Yeah, or quality of possessing free will.
Yeah, like that's that's what ness does, like kindness, loveliness. It's a state. When you add ness,
Yeah,
it's just not usually add to, I guess, a noun, or definitely that noun. But it's a nice sentence. It's a beautifully written. I think I appreciate it. I like that sentence. I like free willness and violence. I like the fact that it doesn't do violence to free willness. Doesn't hurt it. Leaves it alone.
Very philosophical.
Yeah. It's really visual. Okay. Within you read the next two paragraphs, Shenley?
Yeah, she did.
Okay. Within a local frame, volition may appear to function as within a local frame, volition may appear to function as an uncaused cause, but it unfailingly exhibits inheritance factors which establish relationship with the unique, original, and absolute first causes. Okay, I'm just going to translate that one.
Heidi 怎么掉线了？ 掉线了，一会儿。6364，要不然你把65也读了吧。
我已经读过了。
65啊，
嗯，
他是不是还不知道自己掉线了？我得给他打一个。他的新电脑可能。Welcome back.
Yeah, I had a lot of trouble, but thank you.
That's okay. That's okay. We talk about Jesus' life and Shirley learned a lot from Jesus from reading the fourth paper. Fourth.
Isn't it fantastic, Shenley?
I'm very much inspired by how Jesus dealt with his daily life.
Yeah. I'd say,
And
I don't know. I think,
many difficulties to deal with his family poverty. It's a really hard time, and to support his sad mother because of the death of his father. Yeah.
yeah.
And he has so many little younger brothers and sisters. His older brother and their father.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, in one lifetime, a short life, right? He died when he was 33. So in one very short life, he did so much to show us all, how things can be done.
Yeah.
Yeah. The meaning of life
most of his life is supporting his family.
Yeah. No, it's he really had a hard time.
Mm.
Yeah, it wasn't easy for him.
And he's the only supporter for his mother.
Yeah, at a really young age. I think he was 12 when his father died, right? Was he 12?
13. Mm.
That's how old I was when my mother died.
Mm.
Oh, poor Heidi.
Poor Heidi. You'll meet her. You'll meet her in the Urantia world. It's okay. We'll be together again.
Yeah.
But it is a hard age to lose a parent. Right around that age, puberty, right around they say it's the hardest time age to when you're very young, it's easier because you're not, you forget, and then when you're older, you're more independent. So right around that age is supposed to be the hardest time.
Mm-hmm.
But it makes you, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? Okay, you want me to continue then?
Yes.
Okay. So I was on this sentence: within a local frame, volition may appear to function as an uncaused cause, but it unfailingly exhibits inheritance factors which establish relationship with the unique original of first causes. So what they're saying is within a local frame. So I think they mean, for us down here, volition may appear to function as an uncaused cause. So I think they're trying to say, well, I think they are saying that when we make a choice, when we make a decision, use our free will, volition, it may appear to be an uncaused cause, like nothing caused it. We just decided, right? We just randomly chose A over B. to eat an apple rather than an orange. But they're saying, but it unfailingly exhibits inheritance factors which establish relationship with the unique, original, and absolute first causes. So they're saying every decision we make is caused by something. There's some kind of relationship to first causes. So, I mean, first causes is God, right? Or maybe they mean they say first causes, which I think is strange. Maybe they mean the Trinity. You know, the first causes are God. God is the first cause, but then the Trinity, maybe they mean the Trinity when they say the first causes. But either way, whether they mean the whole pantheon, the supreme, all the gods, whatever they mean, they are definitely saying nothing is random. Nothing just comes out of nowhere. Everything is based on relationships and comes from something. So in other words, that's why gods know what we're going to choose before we even choose it, because it's based on our history. It's based on inheritance factors, our DNA, what's in our heart, what we've been through, with the tests we've passed or failed. They're saying something that seems totally random. It isn't an uncaused cause. There is a reason for it.
对，他这一段就是第3段哈，局部框架内，意志可能看似无因之因，好像就是我们做选择 A，选择 A 不选 B 啊，好像是有这个自由，但是实际上呢，它也是不是那个随机的，它也是跟这个第一因它也是有关系的。一切都是在关系当中发生的，没有完全独立的、自由的无因之因。
Like, let's take an example. Like, when Judas betrayed Jesus. I don't want to give it away, Shenley, but spoiler alert. I don't want to ruin the story for you. When Judas betrays Jesus, I'm laughing because you may not know it because you're Chinese. Okay, maybe that's not so funny. But Jesus knew it, right? He knew that it was going to happen. Now, maybe he was just, anyone knew it. He thought it was a big secret, but Jesus knew it. But maybe Jesus can just look into the future, past, present, future, beyond, transcend time, different concept of time. Or maybe he could look at Judas and know enough about him to know what he was going to do. In other words, he thought it was a random choice, but it wasn't. It was based on what he had been saying, what he had been doing for 2 years, for all these things, the questions he was asking, the attitude he had. So what I'm saying is, I'm not quite sure why the gods know what we're going to do before we do it. I don't know if it's because they can access the future, or they have a different concept of time than we do. That's one reason. Or what they're saying here, there is no uncaused cause, except for the first source and center. Or, in other words, they're so wise that they can look at the inheritance factors and the relationship we have to the gods, to the universe, and know what we're going to do next. Either way, we still have free will. We make the decision, but how they know what decision we're going to make could be either thing or both. I'm not sure, right? I'm just putting it out there. I'm saying it's probably one or the other.
哎，是犹大不是背叛了耶稣吗？啊，他自己认为是一个很大的秘密，但是耶稣可能他早就知道，所以就是好像我们有自由意志，但实际上他也在那个就是一定的框架以内，发生的，所以这个自由意志它也是相对的，它就是没有绝对的自由意志，受造物的自由意志都不是绝对的。
All right, so now they're talking about free will here, a volition. They say all volition is relative. So all of our choices, all of our decisions are related to something or relative to something else. In the originating sense, only the Father I am possesses finality of volition. In the absolute sense, only the Father, the Son, and the Spirit exhibit the prerogatives of volition, unconditioned by time and unlimited by space. Mortal man is endowed with free will, the power of choice, and through such choosing, and though such choosing is not absolute, nevertheless, it is relatively final on the finite level and concerning the destiny of the choosing and concerning the destiny of the choosing personality. So they're saying that free will to the Father I am he possesses finality of volition. It's just okay. Finality of volition. I guess that could mean that he makes a decision and that's that. It's final. In the absolute sense, that's in the originating sense. He originates. He's the beginning. Okay. In the absolute sense, only the Father, the Son, and the Spirit exhibit the prerogatives of volition, unconditioned by time and unlimited by space. So they're saying when the Father and the Son and the Spirit have a free will that is absolute. It's unconditioned by time and space. They don't have to worry about time and space when they make a decision. It's an absolute decision. Then they say, oh, wait, do you want to translate some of that?
对，他就现在是在那个6.4这一段，就讲到只有这个上父，我是才拥有意志的终结性，就是三位一体神他的不受时间空间的限制，是具有那个意志特权。
Okay. And then they say, mortal man, that's us, is endowed with free will, the power of choice. And though such choosing is not absolute, so our everything here is limited by time and space. It's not unlimited by time and space. It's not absolute, our free will. They're saying, nevertheless, it is relatively final. Remember, they were saying that God has finality of decision. So and they're saying our free will is relatively final. in one sense, it's final. It's final relative to our time-space reality. On the finite level, it's relatively final on the finite level, and concerning the destiny of the choosing personality. So it's relatively final on this level and concerning our destiny, our personality. Our choices affect our personality. So when we make a decision, it's relatively final concerning our personality, which is concerning us. They really do change us, and our decisions really affect our personality. We can't, there's certain decisions that we make, we can't unmake. They're final. You make certain decisions and you can't unmake them. They're done. You've done it. Judas can't not betray Jesus after he betrays him, right? He can't go back and say, I changed my mind. He already betrayed him. Once you do that, it changes your personality forever. So even though our volition, our decision making on this level is not final, because it's not unlimited, it's not absolute. In this finite universe, it's relatively final. As far as we're concerned, it's final. That's what they're saying. And so I'm going to add to this that you have to realize how very important decisions are, because, little decisions may not be a big deal, but big decisions can change your personality.
他这有讲到做决定的重要性，自由意志。我们的自由意志虽然是相对的，但是在有限的层面上呢，它又是具有一定的意义的终结性，就是它是重要的决定，它的确是与我们这人格的命运息息相关啊。这个选择的权利哈，要善用这个自由意志，因为你选错了，你就是你的命运，你的人格命运就不同，就跟你的决定有关系。
I mean, betrayal is a very good example. Another. Okay, let's say here's another example. Let's say you have a best friend, or a sister or brother you're very close to, and you have a lot of money, a good amount, and your brother or sister or your best friend has a terrible situation, an accident, they lose their job, and they're desperately in need, and they ask to borrow $1,000, and you can afford it, and you say no. Well, that's the kind of decision that will affect your friendship forever. They'll never forget that you didn't help them when they needed help. They'll never forget it, that you can apologize you can stay friends, but it will affect the friendship. There are decisions that you make that you can't undo. Let's say you betray someone, you cheat on them. You say you'll be faithful and you're not faithful. Well, they'll never forget that. When you really hurt someone or really betray someone or let someone down, you can't undo that. You can apologize and make up for it, but it'll never quite be the same.
对，那比如说你可能你手里还比较有钱的，你的好朋友啊，或者是兄弟姐妹，他们遇到很大的事故，然后给你借几千块钱，那然后你没有给他们，那过后你虽然去后悔了道歉，但是那个友谊那个亲情那个被背叛的这种感觉，可能他们永远也不会忘记，就是怎么样弥补也都是徒劳的。没有这种你做了这样的决定，这个行为的后果没有办法去掉啊。所以就是做决定这是很重要的。
So one of the things that's unique to the Urantia book, or not too many other books emphasize the importance of decisions the way this book does. There may be some, but I've never come across another book that emphasizes the importance. I won't even say importance. I would say the most lets us know. I'm saying this now. I'm not reading this. The Urantia book teaches us that the decisions and choices you make are just about the most important thing in the world. I mean, having faith, believing in God, doing God's will, very important, yes. But also, and just as important, are the decisions you make. And they're saying that we think we grow and evolve by going to climbing mountains or traveling or experiencing loss or getting through hardship. All those things, sure, that experience is valuable. But what they're telling us is that it's not what you go through, it's the choices you make. It's not what happens to you, it's how you handle them, the decisions you make that makes you who you are, that makes you evolve as a person. The whole point of life, the Urantia book is telling us the whole point of life is to keep evolving, keep getting more and more godlike until finally we're godlike enough to meet God and to see him and to recognize him. And how do we do that? They're telling us, they don't say travel the world, have a lot of jobs, have a lot of kids. They're not saying anything like that. They're saying it's by your decisions that you're going to evolve. It's every decision you make makes you either more of a person or less of a person, more godlike or less godlike.
对，这个跟新时代的不一样。新时代说怎么样都行，怎么样都对。就是玉书就强调呢，就是你做决定的重要性，因为你的每一个决定，就是定义了你是谁。你在这个养生进化的路上，是不是慢慢的进化的更像神一样？
Many Christians, and then I'll read right after this. Many Christians believe that they can sin all they want. They can make all the bad choices in the world as long as they confess or believe in God or pray once in a while or go to church or even they think that Jesus died for their sins. They think that when Jesus died, everyone's sins were cleared up. He died for all of us. Now we're all forgiven. I don't believe that. Jesus never said that. What this book tells us is that they don't say that Jesus died for our sins. He may have, but they don't say that. They say he died because some really evil people killed him. And I believe I mean, this is very controversial, but I believe that he died to show us that he could come back to life in 3 days, that you couldn't kill him, that you could kill his body, but not his soul. That's what I personally believe. Maybe he died for our sins. Christians certainly believe that. But what the Urantia book tells us is that you're not forgiven because Jesus died on the cross. You are judged by the decisions you make. And then I'll go on to the next section, next paragraph.
有一些基督徒认为，不管你做了多少错事啊，只要你诚心祷告啊、认罪呀、相信神啊，然后就会得以赦免。每个人的罪都被洗清了。 然后呢，他们相信主在十字架上为他们的罪赎了工价。可是实际上，这个耶稣并不是上十字架为了赎什么罪，而是的确有一些坏人把他给硬要把他处死。
But one last thing, I just want to say that doesn't mean that you won't be given another chance to make the right decision. Like many near-death experiences, there are people who have made nothing but bad decisions, but then they die and they're given the choice again to go back and to do things right. You know, so I'm not saying that there's no hope for you if you've made bad decisions, because there are people who they seem to be given another choice, but we can't depend on that. We don't know for sure if we're going to get that other choice. A lot of people do seem to get that choice in heaven, to go back to earth and to do things right, because they're always changed after a near-death experience. But it's possible that they have those experiences because the gods know, their thought adjuster knows what's in their heart, that they are a good person, they want to do right, but that their life has just led them to do everything wrong. So I'm not saying, I just want to be clear, I'm not saying if you've made bad choices, there's no hope for you. There's always hope, but you're only going to be saved. You're only going to be able to evolve if you change and start making good decisions. Do you see the point I'm making? I'm because what I said before was it's all about decisions. Jesus didn't die for
Yeah.
us all to be forgiven. And I'm saying I don't want to paint the picture of I don't want people to think, oh my God, I've made such bad decisions, there's no hope for me.
Yeah. 就是我们即使做了错误的决定，我们还可以再纠正嘛。对，那很多濒死体验大概也是从这方面生活经验当中就学习到很多，就是我们随时纠正，不是说每个人每时每件事都要做正确的决定，但是我们一定要有从自己的经验和那个生活抉择当中学习的这个能力，不断的修正自己的路线。
Okay, I'll read the next well, one or two paragraphs, and then Tenley can read it in Chinese. Okay, volition on any level short of the absolute encounters limitations which are constitutive in the very personality exercising the power of choice. Man cannot choose beyond the range of that which is choosable. He cannot, for instance, choose to be other than a human being, except that he can elect to become more than a man. He can choose to embark upon the voyage of universe ascension, but this is because the human choice and the divine will happen to be coincident upon this point. And what a son desires and the father wills will certainly come to pass. Okay, the next paragraph is, this is really nice stuff, by the way. In the mortal life, paths of differential conduct are continually opening and closing. And during the times when choice is possible, the human personality is constantly deciding between these many courses of action. Temporal volition is linked to time, and it must await the passing of time to find opportunity for expression. Spiritual volition has begun to taste liberation from the fetters of time, having achieved partial escape from the time sequence. And that is because spiritual volition is self-identifying with the will of God. Okay. Shenli.
Shirley,
That's
Shirley
great.
already read it, right? Have you read
I
6.6?
haven't read the 6.6.
Okay.
我重新读一下吧。
嗯
任何非绝对层面的意志都会受到限制，而这些限制正是行使选择权的人格本身所固有的。人无法在可选范围之外去做选择，例如，他无法选择成为非人类，除非他可以选择成为超越人类的存在。他可以选择踏上宇宙扬升之旅，但这是因为人的选择与神的旨意恰好在这一点上一致。人子之所愿，父之所愿，必将成就。在凡人生涯中，不同行为的路径不断开启和关闭。在可以选择的时期，人格不断地在这些行为方案之间做出抉择。时间意志与时间息息相关，它必须等待时间的流逝来寻找表达的机会。属灵意志已经开始品尝到从时间的枷锁中解放出来的滋味，部分地摆脱了时间的束缚。这是因为属灵意志与神的旨意自我认同。
Okay. This is really, really nice stuff. Part of it is saying what this whole section's been talking about, the idea that you have limits. Everything is within limits. It's like unlimited within limits. So volition on any level of the absolute, volition on any level short of the absolute encounters limitations which are constitutive in the very personality exercising the power of choice. Okay, remember they told us that absolute volition was, what the eternal Son and the infinite Spirit have. They're not limited by space and time. That's absolute. They're saying volition on any level short of the absolute. That's, in other words, our free will in a time, space, finite universe. They're saying it has limitations, but these limitations are constitutive in the very personality exercise in the paragraph. They're limited based on our personality, who we are, what we are. So so depending on who and what we are, that determines the kind of choices we can make. Ricky, I'll let you translate.
我都迷糊过去了。这说的啥呀？反正就是因为只有三位一体神啊，绝对本源它的有绝对意志嘛。然后我们这些受造者的人格，他的自由意志，它实际上都是受限制的，对吧？我们就是无法在可选范围之外去做选择，所以它是相对的，我们的自由意志和选择权都是相对的。
Well, remember before, in a couple paragraphs before, it said, even God cannot do the undoable. God cannot do something which is not godly. And here they're saying man cannot choose beyond the range of that which is choosable. He cannot, for instance, choose to be other than a human being, except that he can elect to become more than a man. Okay. They're saying even before they told us that even God can't make a circle into a square. He can't do something that's ungodly. And now they're telling us we can't do something that's beyond a human's. We can't become like a dog or a turtle. I mean, people today think they can become, they think if they think they're a cat, but that's crazy. They're telling us we can't become I can't choose to be an angel or a Melchizedek. I'm a human. So they're just telling, this is all about limits, but they're saying within these limits, it's pretty limitless. I mean, I think they're implying that, but they're telling us that there's a range. We can choose between this, and this, but we can't choose things that are just that break all the laws of nature or the laws of the universe.
反正前面也说过，神他也是受限的，他不能什么做包含恶的善还是善的恶呀，不能把什么画方的圆啊之类的。然后这个地方他说人也无法在可选范围之外做选择，就是说比如说他们没有办法选择成为非人啊。但是他就是这个选择都是有限，在有些范围之外，你不可能你的选择，你自由意志不可能超越这个范围。
So they say that man cannot choose to be what words do they use? Man cannot choose to be other than human, except that he can elect to become more than a man. So we can't become anything except a human being, but we can be more than a human being. And why is that? Because we have a thought adjuster. So as I always say, I believe we can embark on the Urantia career right now. I believe we can, nothing's stopping us. Just because we're in this finite universe on a material world doesn't mean we don't have a spirit. Doesn't mean we don't have a thought adjuster and a soul, which are capable of all kinds of things, transcending this. You know, what do they say? I'm blowing this pop stand. Okay, that's an American expression. I'm gonna blow this pop stand. That I'm full of expressions today. That means you're gonna leave this place. You know, I'm out of here. So it means you're gonna go. And a pop stand. I don't even know what a pop stand is. I don't even know where these expressions come from.
Okay.
So, but anytime you want, you can say, I'm going to blow this pop stand. I'm going to be more than a man, but God has to agree with it. You can't do anything supernatural if God doesn't agree with it. But if you desire it and God wills it, anything can happen.
对，对，就是上面说我们无法选择成为非人类，但是呢，我们的确可以选择成为超越人类的存在，就是往上扬升。就是实际上，比如说我们现在在一个物质凡人的时候，也可以踏上这个宅下世界之旅啊。就是可以超越这个人类的存在。那一句俗语说，我离开这个地方了，pop up，blow up pop stand，就是我要离开这儿了，我要超越作为一个词，所以你要是渴望超自然的体验，然后这个又符合神的意志，那么你的欲望愿望就会达成，人之所愿，父之所愿，对，就是最后那句必将成就，就是我们人的选择，愿力与神的旨意一致了，就是一拍即合，就是会成就。
So you can't be other than human, but you can be more than human.
对，它就是相当于再强调一遍，你不能做非人类，但是呢，你可以超越人类。 可以做超人类。
But only if it's aligned with the will of God. Now, there are people on this planet, all kinds of people involved with evil and, Satan worshipers, and they think they can be more than human, but they're deceiving themselves because God doesn't will it. They're actually becoming less than human. They may be able to do some supernatural things. They may have a few powers, but they're not aligned with God. So they're not evolving. They think they're transcending mortality, but they're not. They're actually just becoming less than human. They're becoming demonic.
Yeah, that's important. 对，他就说现在一历来哈，有很多人呢，他们呢也是那种追求灵性，但是他们是撒旦的崇拜者啊，他们也许会好像表现出一些超能力，好像是想要就是超越生死一样。但是呢，他们那超能力呢，就是那种黑魔法，就是撒旦的邪恶的、邪性的。那么这个是不在神的意志里边的。那么所以他们相当于就不是那种超越的人类，就相当于比人类又更降低了，是堕落的。
So sometimes we might feel, we might feel bad that we're the lowest beings in the universes. Where, the angels are higher than us, the Lanandex, the Verandadex, the Melchizedeks, the archangels, that everyone's higher than us. We're the low man on the totem pole, as we say in English, low man on the totem pole. And a totem pole is a big pole that goes up into the air that Indians carve with all one animal on top of the other. And so when they say low man on the totem pole, they mean the very bottom, right, of all the animals. I'll let you translate.
对，所以呢，我们虽然看上去是渺小的，造物，然后呢，上面有其他高级的造物，像，天使啊，大天使啊，墨基色德呀，还有那些朗呐，什么那些什么那些造物之子啊，还是什么，圣子。对吧？我们就是相当于是造物当中最卑微的一组。
Like bottom of the food chain. And the thing is, we may, sometimes you read this book and they're saying you can't possibly understand this and you can't understand that. And it seems like we have billions and billions of years ahead of us to even just become really spiritual beings. And it might be a little discouraging at times, but what I'm telling, what this sentence is telling us is we can be, even though we're the lowest of the low, we have thought adjusters. We can transcend ourselves anytime we want, even mortals, even in material worlds, in the finite universes. We can, as long as it's God's will. And as a great example of that, we're about to read about Caligastia, the prince of this planet, and Lucifer, who was a very high spiritual being who caused a rebellion in the universe. And what we'll learn when we read those papers is during that rebellion, Lucifer rebelled, Caligastia, these very high spiritual beings, way higher than we are. And angels the millions of angels, they fell for his tricks. He fooled them. They went into rebellion against God. They were deceived, and some of them still are. They ruined, they never recovered. And many humans were deceived, and also, of course, being the lowest of the low, the least spiritual of all, but many human beings weren't deceived, and many human beings on this planet, now that was 500,000 years ago, many human beings said, no, I'm sticking with God. I'm good. No thanks. I'm good. And that's an amazing story, because that's proof that even though we're the lowest, we don't have to be stuck as a animal being. Anytime we want, we can align ourselves with our thought adjusters, which are a fragment of God inside us. We can allow ourselves to be guided, and then at that point, we're very spiritual. We can be, it says right here, we can be more than a man. If that idea, that desire is in tune, is aligned with God's will.
像卡里加夏哈，我们的行星王子，跟着那个路西法背叛啊，这些都是很高的灵性存有，然后呢，很多的天使啊，也是比人高啊，那他们也，被这个路西法的那个伎俩所欺骗，很多到现在也还没有恢复。当然，人呢，很多人他也是被欺骗的，但是也有一些人他没有被这个路西法的诡计，所诱惑，还是有一些人坚定的站在人这一边，没有跟随路西法去参与叛变，参与背叛，所以这就是证据。我们虽然是最低的造物，那个，但是我们有神的片段在我们里边，只要我们允许这个，神的片段，来指导我们，我们就可以，就是超越人类的局限，就是愿望就可以跟神的愿望合一。
Then the last sentence is one of those real beautiful sentences. It says, and what a son desires and the father wills will certainly come to pass. And, if we assume that the Urantia book doesn't lie, they're telling us right there, whatever you want, as long as it's in line with God's will, you will get. It will happen. There are no limits. No doors are closed. God spoils us. Everything is possible. So they're telling us, in that sense, our free will choice is absolute, because once we align with God, there are no limits, and we can have everything we desire, as long as what we desire is also what God desires. But it goes beyond we can have. It says it certainly will come to pass. They're saying not only can we have it, we will have it.
这个就是非常的奇妙哈，值得庆贺的一件事情。那么最后一句哈，子之所愿，父之所愿，必将成就。所以，当我们的意志、我们的选择跟神的意志合拍的时候，这个时候这个就成了绝对的意志了，那就是没有什么事情是不可能的，一定成就，必将成就。
Shenley, you haven't read the next ones yet, right?
Yeah.
You have?
Yes.
How many?
He read 6.
You mean all of them?
She read all
6.
No,
No.
6.6.
All of the section.
No. Until 6th paragraph.
Oh, okay. But you didn't read 6 yet.
She read it. She already read it.
Already read it.
Oh,
6.
okay. Then I'm going to read it now. Okay. In the mortal life, paths of differential conduct are continually opening and closing. And during the times when choice is possible, the human personality is constantly deciding between these many courses of action. Temporal volition is linked to time, and it must await the passing of time to find opportunity for expression. Spiritual volition has begun to taste liberation from the fetters of time, having achieved partial escape from time sequence. And that is because spiritual volition is self-identifying with the will of God. So they're just saying that our choices are time-based. So because of that, we have to wait. They don't immediately come in. We don't see the results of our actions immediately because they're taking place in time. So we often have to wait to see the results of our actions. But when we make a spiritual decision that is in line with God, we're no longer limited by time and space. We start to escape the limits of time and space to an extent. And they're saying, has begun to taste the liberation from the fetters of time, having achieved partial escape from time sequence. I mean, we're not high spiritual beings yet, but we can take the next step and go into we can partially escape time and space when we align ourselves with God and make decisions, spiritual. And that's what they mean by spiritual decisions. When we make a decision that's aligned with God, we're making it with our thought adjuster. It's up to us. We're the decision maker. The thought adjuster is just our guidance counselor. They're just guiding us, but they can't make decisions for us. But when we choose to listen to their guidance and to make a decision that we know they want us to make, they approve of, then it becomes a spiritual decision. And we don't have to wait for time to see the results of it. We feel it immediately. You can feel a liberation. It makes you a more spiritual, more complete person immediately.
对，它就是6.6这一段呢，就是讲的是，因为我们在有限的世界嘛，就是凡人的物质生命，那么它就是有受时间和空间的限制，我们行动，然后结果它就有一个时间差等待时间的流逝。那机会也是要就是随着时间的流逝，有一些机会开放，有一些机会关闭，我们得不断的在这些行动方案之间做出抉择。但是如果我们跟我们的选择跟我们的神性的指导一致了，那么我们做出的就是属灵的选择，属灵的决定。这样的话呢，我们就会品尝到从时间的枷锁中解放出来的滋味，那么就会感到一种解放，体会到一个全人的一个感受。我觉得大概就是开悟的感觉吧。就是反正那就是属灵意志与神的意志，它一致了。
I'm sure that there are other benefits. I'm saying that when you make a spiritual decision, because you've partially escaped the fetters of time, you can feel the results immediately. But I'm sure there are other benefits as well to making a decision that's not encumbered by time, a spiritual decision that somewhat partially transcends time. I'm sure there are other benefits as well.
可能还有其他的好处。你跟思想调整者的意志，灵性的意志达成一致的，可能还有其他的好处。
Now, I want to just add something that from my own experience, when you make a decision with us, decisions are difficult. They're some of our biggest challenges. Making the right it's hard to make the right decision. That's why when you read history, you find that most of our leaders make one wrong decision after another, one terrible decision after another. They make decisions that lead to wars. If they had made another decision, there wouldn't have been a war. That lead to hardship, death, massive death. I mean, I'm reading a lot of history these days. I'm amazed at how many bad decisions our leaders have made through. It's very rare to even find a leader who made any good decisions, let alone mostly good decisions. Making good decisions is hard.
Well, actually, at this point, the decision they make, it's actually they intentionally make.
Oh, that's true. That's true too.
That they intentionally, because this is Lucifer is the king.
Right, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right. It's
they
not hard for them.
They want to create division. They want to create hunger and war. They intentionally doing so.
Yeah, so I shouldn't really, but okay, it is hard. When you want to do the right thing, it can be very hard, but it's also very rare because a lot of people don't even want to do the right thing. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
So it's hard. It can be very hard, and it's also very rare.
做正确的决定是很难的，因为他就看到读很多的历史，那些的领袖人物很少能做出正确的决定。我的表达的意见是说，他们是故意的不做正确的决定，因为我们已经是好多万年都已经是叛变的路西法统治的时代。他说既难做出正确的决定，并且做正确决定的机会又很少。对，人就是很难去做遵从神的意志的决定。
Now there's two things I want. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, okay, you go ahead.
Okay. There's two things I want to say from personal experience because decision making is so important. Number one, when you have a very tough decision to make, I have found that when you make the right decision, because you don't know which is right or wrong. Let's assume you want to make the right decision. You're not evil trying to make the wrong decision. Okay, let's assume you're a good person and you want to make the right decision, and you really don't know which decision is right, because there's good and bad to each one. You could argue with yourself all day. So let's say you make one, and you immediately, if it's the right decision, I have found that you immediately feel a huge weight has been lifted. You feel a sense of relief, and you don't think about it ever. You don't have to think about, did I make the right one? Did I make the wrong one? You know you made the right one because you feel, but you cannot feel that until you make the decision. And you can't imagine what it will feel like. You only feel that way when you make. It's a very funny thing, because you up until that second that you make the decision, you feel only anxiety, but then you make it and you feel relief, and that's how you know you made the right decision. I have found in my experience.
对，他说做个人在生活当中的 定，他说其实当你做了一个正确的决定，你会马上体会到一个巨大的一个负担从心上挪去了，就是你如果还没有做出这个正确的决定，一直你就是处于焦虑状态但是你一旦做出这个正确的选择，马上觉得就心里就没有那个纠结了，就这意思。
Consequently, when you make the wrong decision, right? Now you have to realize when you make the decision, you think you're making, whether you make the right or the wrong, when you're struggling with it, you think it's the right one because it's the one you choose. You want to choose the right one, but sometimes it's the wrong one. So, I mean, sometimes you make the wrong one on purpose because you're a coward, or you take the money, or you take the bribe, or it's based on fear. But let's say you think it's the right one. Then what happens is you're struggling, you're going back and forth in your mind. Did I make the right one? Did I make the wrong one? Or you get very defensive and you go, I know it was right because of A, B, C. I had to do it. This was better for everyone. This is the good. When you have to justify it, when you get defensive, when you're still arguing in your mind over which was better, that's the wrong decision.
他说你可能挣扎了半天呢，也做出了一个决定，但是有可能你做那决定就是错误的，然后出于恐惧啊，出于想要逃避什么东西啊，然后呢，你做这样的决定之后呢，你就是还在那儿拉锯，还在那儿为自己这样做去找理由，那么你有可能你就是做出了错误的决定。
So that's how you know, because you can still sometimes it's a final decision. There's no way to go back. But sometimes you can say, whoops, that must be the wrong one because I'm still arguing in my head about it. I'm still trying to justify it. And then you can change, right? That's because this is the way I have definitely found that this is how you know if you made the right one or the wrong one.
对，你可以根据这些的标记然后判断，然后发现有可能自己还是做了错误的决定，你可以再改呀。
Now, the other funny thing about decisions is once in a while, you're struggling. What should I do? What should I do? And it may not be a choice between A or B. It may just be a situation where you don't know what to do, what road to take, what course to take, how to respond, how to react. Now, sometimes the best thing to do is nothing. I have found, and it's sort of like, it's not in the rule books, but I stumbled upon this. Once in a while, the best thing to do is absolutely nothing, because you feel like you have to do something. You have to say something, you have to do something, you have to respond or react. Sometimes you don't have to do anything at all. It's not your problem. No, there's no rule that says you have to respond to everything that happens to you. There are times when you can just walk away. And Sun Tzu, your famous general, you know the art of Sun Tzu, the art of war, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he says the same thing. And Confucius says the same thing. Sometimes they say you can't win they say the best way to win a war is not to fight. And Confucius says retreat. Sometimes the best option is to retreat. That means you just walk away. You're not going to win that battle. So that's a good thing to remember too. You don't always have to fight. You don't always have to choose.
他就说有可能有的时候你在那儿犹豫啊 ，A 呀还是 B 呀，还是犹豫不定不知道怎么样去反应，也许最好的选择 就是你什么也不做，不去选择，哎，就是走开。他说就是《孙子兵法》里边大概也就是也讲到大概有一句就是走什么退往后退，还是孔子啊都讲到不战而屈人之兵嘛，不战就是后退，有的时候是上策。
I can tell you a good story about that, but not today. But one of these days, I'll tell you a good story of something that recently happened with me when I realized that I didn't have to do anything. And it was really, Ricky, I told you about it, but it was really funny because it took me a couple of months before I realized I don't have to do anything. I can just walk away. So I'll tell you guys that later. But to that now I'll read the next paragraph.
Next two.
I'll
Yeah,
read I'll read the next two.
We only have 2 paragraphs to go.
Okay. Volition, the act of choosing, must function within the universe frame which has actualized in response to higher and prior choosing. The entire range of human will is strictly finite limited, except in one particular. When man chooses to find God and to be like him, such a choice is super finite. Only eternity can disclose whether this choice is also super abstinent. And the next one, to recognize deity omnipotence is to enjoy security in your experience of cosmic citizenship. To possess assurance of safety in the long journey to paradise, but to accept the fallacy of omnificence is to embrace the colossal error of pantheism. Okay. Shenli has she read those already?
沈丽，你这个在吗？还在吗？
在的。
后两段。
我是不是还有2段没有读是吧？那我读一下。Okay, I will read the next.
You already read them. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Volition, which we free will.
你已经读了吗？这2段？
我没读，我好像读到6。
OK， 那
后面2段没有读。
读一下。
Volition, the act of choosing, must function.
No. Shenli has to read the Chinese.
Oh, I thought you said she'd read those already. Okay.
OK， 意志之即选择的行为，必须在宇宙框架内运作，而这个框架是为了回应更高和鲜艳的选择而实现的。人类意志的整个范围是严格受限的，除了在一个特定方面，那就是当人选择寻找神并效仿他时，这样的选择是超限的。只有永恒才能揭示这种选择是否也是超绝限的。承认神灵全能，就是在你宇宙公民的体验中享受安全，在通往天堂的漫长旅途中拥有平安保证。但接受全创的谬论，就是信奉泛神论的巨大错误。OK。
可能他走开了一下。
Okay. Okay, I'm back.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So the first sentence is they're pretty much saying the same thing. They're saying like the same thing in every paragraph, and then they're adding something new. So they're saying the same thing again here. They're saying that there are limits. That free will is unlimited in one way, but there are limits in other ways. So they're saying volition, the act of choosing, must function within the universe frame, which has actualized in response to higher and prior choosing. Well, that limit is actually quite interesting. It's which the universe frame, which is actualized in response to higher and prior choosing. So they're saying that when you make decisions, higher decisions, supreme decisions, important decisions, spiritual decisions, and prior decisions, the decisions you've already made, have created a universe frame that you're operating in. So they're telling us you can't make decision B if you've already made decision C previously. They're saying you make decisions, it creates your reality. It creates the frame of your reality. In other words, some decisions can't be undone. You might be able to make other decisions that set you in a new path or new direction, but the decisions you make create the frame you're operating in. That's what it's telling us. It's saying that there's a consequence to decisions. It's not like you make them and then you don't change. You do change. And that change in you is what determines the next decisions you have to make. They're based on prior decisions. You can't unmake everything. All the decisions you've made have created your reality, have created who you are. So only decisions are only available to you now based on the ones you've made before. Some decisions aren't available to you.
对，对，这个是这个意思，就是你做的决定哈，你就创造了一定的实相，然后你在下一个决定的时候，就在这个实相范围内，做选择，相当于你就选了一条路，那么你在做选择的时候，就是在这条路上的有限的选择啊，所以每一个选择它都是有后果的啊，然后决定下一个决定的或那个范围，所以它就是都是鲜艳，都是都是回应更高和鲜艳的选择而实现的。But higher and prior choosing, I think there may be something even more profound meaning.
Well, by higher, I think they mean what I said was spiritual or supreme, because in other places in the book, they talk about supreme decisions. So I think they mean, when they say higher, what could they mean? I think they mean more spiritual, like, or more important. Because some of the decisions we make, you could call them lower decisions. They're not, they're not going to change your life. They're not going to affect too many people. They're not, you know what I mean? What do you think?
他提到这 supreme decision 至高决定这个词好像以前也提过，反正是只要涉及到至高决定，那么就是大概都是跟灵魂的续存特别有关的。意志，它这个地方是更高的选择，是不是对应的是至高决定？
Because when you make a supreme decision, I don't think you may make, I'm just guessing, you might make 5 of those in your life. You might make 25. You might make 55. I don't know how many. And I'm sure it varies very much between individuals, but supreme decisions are life-changing. They're completely life-changing decisions. You make the wrong one, you go one way. You make the right one, you become another person. And when you make the correct, oh, here's something I forgot to say. When you make the correct decision, it becomes easier and easier to make the right choices. When at first it's very hard, but it does become easier. You learn how to listen to your thought adjuster and to just know instinctually which one is right. And there's less resistance. You want to make the right one. It just becomes easier. Just like being nice to people. If you keep doing it, it becomes easier. Or being polite, it becomes, or forgiving. All the good things, when you practice them, they say practice makes perfect. Well, in this case, it actually, that's literal. Practice makes you a perfect being eventually.
对，他就说就是至高决定哈，一生当中大概有那么几次就是至高决定，它都是改变你的生命的一些重要的决定。你做每的决定呢，你就会下一个决定，你就更容易做出正确的决定。就是少一些阻力啊。对，你就越来越顺，越来越走在就是上主给你的这个喜悦的那条路上，你就是越来越成为那个完美的存有。
They say in a decision, a free will must function in the universe frame, which has actualized in response to higher and prior choosing. Actualized. In other words, it wasn't there before. It's a reality or personality trait or a road that has opened up that wasn't. It's actually, you've made a higher decision, and it's actually and it has actualized another path for you, or another choice, or another reality, or another situation that would not have actualized before. You wouldn't have seen it. It wouldn't have been there.
Actualize 这个词呢，我觉得也有可能就是一个把潜在的显化出来的意思，显化成这个实相的意思。那就是由你做的每一个的决定，就相当于把这个鲜艳的和更高的，那种，就是神那个层次，它不是全能的嘛，它就是各种的潜能都在那儿。那它怎么样显化出来？它得靠你的意志，靠你的行为然后来实现，靠你的选择。然后来把这些的潜能、潜在的这种东西给它显化出来、实现出来。
Then they say the entire range of human will is strictly finite limited, except in one particular. So finite limited. So okay, we're operating in a finite reality, time, space. So they're saying the range of human, so all of our will, all of our choices have to take place in time and space, except for one instance, one situation. And that's when man chooses to find God and be like him. Such a choice is super finite. Only eternity can disclose whether this choice is also super abstinent. So remember, there's three realities that we know about: the finite, the abstinent, and the absolute, right? So we know that we're in the finite reality. Now they're saying that when we choose to find God and be like him, now they're not saying when we find God, they're saying when we choose to find God, that can be letting Jesus save us, doing the will of God. I believe it does not say when we find God. It says when man chooses, when we say, that's the road I'm going to take. I'm on my way to God and nothing's going to stop me. When we make that choice, when we say, I want to be like God, I don't want to be like Satan, I don't want to be like Katy Perry or Taylor Swift or Abraham Lincoln. I want to be like God, like Jesus. That's who I want to be like. When we do that, that choice is super finite. That's the one time we're not stuck in the finite. It's not a time-space choice. It transcends time and space. It's an eternal choice. And that choice will stay with us all through eternity. And it may be super abstinent as well. They say it's super finite. It goes beyond the finite. But they're saying it may even go beyond the abstinent, which means it may go into the absolute. Right? It's such a spiritual, powerful choice that it transcends everything we know, time and space as we know it.
对。那么我们知道，我们有限的实相、觉现的实相，然后是绝对的实相，3种实相的范畴。那么这一句是说，当我们选择去发现神，你还不是说发现神，你是选择这条路，并且是想要像他一样你就踏上这条路，就是走向这个超越这个有限，并且呢，就是不光是超越有限，还有可能是超越局限，对，就是永恒扬升之旅嘛。
I have to take 1 second here and get the dictionary. Oh, here it's back. Okay, that's okay. I have to get the dictionary definition of omnipotence for this next paragraph. I think I know what it means, but I need the definition. Okay, omnipotence right here. It is the quality or state of being omnipotent. Okay, so we have to go to omnipotent. Unlimited. Okay, so unlimited in creative power. Okay, and omnipotent is, let's see, I want to know exactly what the difference is. Omnipotent is having virtually unlimited authority or influence. Unlimited power. Okay, so it seems like the dictionary definition is one is creative power and one is power or authority. They now the Urantia book sometimes uses words a little differently because it was written, some parts of this book were written 100 years ago, and many parts were written 75 1955. They were written more than 75 years ago, right? It was written so words change over time, so sometimes they're using them a little differently, but from what I can tell today, that's the difference. Okay, I'll read this. To recognize, I'm reading now, to recognize deity omnipotence is to enjoy security in your experience of cosmic citizenship, to possess assurance of safety in the long journey to paradise. Now that. Okay, I'm gonna do you want to translate anything before I explain? I don't think you
对，
do.
他查这个字典哈 ，omnificence 在字典里边的意义，它就是创造了大能啊，然后就是权威啊，大的影响啊这一类的。那么，因为这本书是100年前开始传导的嘛， 然后他用的词有可能有一些词现在不一定用了，就相当于要是100年前，那么我们相当于我们现在读民国时候的作品一样出版75年前出版的。
Okay, this is very, very reassuring sentence. To recognize deity omnipotence is to enjoy security in your experience of cosmic citizenship, to possess assurance of safety in the long journey to paradise. Okay, they're telling us that when you recognize, all you have to do is recognize deity omnipotence. So they're saying it's not just believing God, but it's recognizing the power and authority of God. When you recognize it, when you see it for what it is, you don't deny it, you're not ignorant of it, you see it and you recognize it, that God is omnipotent. He is the authority. You're not the authority. A lot of people walk around thinking they're the authority. Or Satan is the authority, or President Trump is the authority. No, God is the authority. When you recognize that, you enjoy security as a citizenship of the universe. You're secure. You know who you are. You know you're a citizen of the universe, and you possess assurance of safety in the long journey to paradise. I mean, there's a lot of trials and travails that can I mean, you can it's a dangerous trip up to the top of Mount Everest. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot that can be you can be all kinds of evil, not just in this world. Caligastia, Lucifer, they show us there's evil in the universe. It's not just on these little mortal planets. And you have to, but when you recognize God as the omnipotent authority that He is, you have complete assurance and safety. And you know that. And that's a beautiful thing because it's a scary universe. It's a hard journey, but you know you have safety. And I know that because I was once saved from dying when I just said, save Jesus. And this horrible force that was killing me just went away. And ever since then, I've known as long as you believe that God, Jesus can save you from anything, anytime, any place, I've never felt scared again. You have complete safety. Anywhere, anytime, any place, you're safe. So that's a really good thing to know. But you have to recognize God as the omnipotent authority, power and authority, not yourself. Not, well, maybe I'll ask Allah for help. I'll ask my guardian angel. I'll ask my mentor. I'll ask Mother Mary. No, God's going to help you. God's going to protect you.
对，最后一段就说这个，因为 omnipotent 就是权柄啊、权威的意思嘛。那么就是我们只要看到、认可、认同这个神就是有这个全能，对，有这个全能，神的全能omnipotence，而不是说认其他的权威，比如说有些人他拜神，他拜的是撒旦作为最高权威，那么那就不是认这个神为全能的神。
I'm not saying.
我还没
okay.
上眼。
All right.
然后呢，你就是在这个养生之旅当中，就是你会 遇到很多的试炼，你会遇到很多的邪恶。那宇宙当中，不光是这个地球上，宇宙当中，你这个养生之旅上面也还是会遇到吧？他说，你会你其实长起来有蛮困难，蛮有挑战的。然后比如说他有一次有生命危险，他就是在心里边呼喊耶稣救我，然后他就脱离那个险境。所以他就知道这个耶稣的名，就是你不管是任何时间呢、地点呢，嗯都是可以拯救他的。所以呢，他就说这个是提供了平安保证嘛，在我们的养生之旅过程当中，就是认可神灵全能，就拥有了一个平安的保证。那也就是联系到前头他那些鲜艳的、更高的，就是神的旨意，因为神的旨意高于一切嘛，所以就是，所以就是在这样全能的神，他的旨意又高于一切的这种宇宙当中，我们就有一个平安的通行保证。
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not, there's 2 points I want to make about this. Just to be absolutely clear, I'm not saying that your guardian angel won't help you, or your father, or your mother, or your older brother, or your coach, or the police, or firemen. I'm not saying you always have to ask God to help you. There's times when all kinds of your guardian angels will help you. Okay, I'm just saying that when it comes right down to it, when you believe in the authority of God, he will always help you. Even if he sends your guardian angels, he will help you. Even if he sends the firemen, you're safe. Nothing is going to happen to your soul. Your spirit is safe. As he protects his children all the way to paradise, nothing will hurt you. If you put your faith in God, you'll be fine against the most powerful forces in the universe. That's number one. Other beings, I'm not saying he's the only one who will help. I'm saying he can help when no one else can. In the most dire circumstances, he can help. And he's responsible. He'll always make sure you're safe. That's number one, and I'll let you translate it.
对，他说不是说你不用去跟你的教练啊，跟什么警察呀求助啊，或者是灭火员求助，不是说不跟这些人求助，而是说你总是那个求上父的帮忙，你的灵魂、你的灵性就是安全的。你就不会受到伤害，就是宇宙当中怎么样的，邪恶的力量都没有办法伤害你。对，它可以在最挑战的情形之下，还会帮助你。
The second thing is, yes, you're safe. Yes, you're secure. Yes, you can count on God. You have nothing to be afraid of, nothing to worry about. But he won't always help you the way you want to be helped. He may help you the way you should be helped. In other words, you may pray to God, someone's about to shoot you, and you say, God, save me. And you get shot anyway. That's because it's your time to go. And you go to a better world. And it works out for the better. In other words, if it's not your time to go, if it's not your time to die, nothing, if you believe in God, nothing in the world can kill you. But it may be your time to go. God may have another plan for you. Your work may be done here. So you may say, save me, help me, and you might die anyway, but then you'll go to a better world. So I'm just saying, God doesn't always help you the way you want to be helped, but he'll always help you the way you'll always be safe and secure, either in this world or the next. He may not always be what you think. He may not always help you the way you think he's going to help you, the way you want him to help you, but he'll always help you.
他说我们是安全的，我们是有保障的，我们可以随时求他的帮助，不是说我们一定求什么他也就按照我们这个角色求的去成全。比如说有人要杀你，那么你祷告了，但是还是被射杀了，那么你实际上呢，就是你就是该走了，这个时间就是该走了，这个你被射杀了，你是去到更好的地方你可能祷告，你要是不是该你走的时间，那么他一定什么人也伤害不了你，所以呢，他总是他的拯救是基于对你的灵魂最好的选择，不一定是你这个角色所祷告的。
Okay.
Yep, good.
And then the last paragraph, to recognize deity. Oh, did I? Oh, no, I just read that. Oh, no, I didn't. To recognize deity omnipotence is to enjoy security in your experience. No, I did read that, but I just didn't, the last sentence I didn't explain.
Yes, last sentence.
Yeah, but to accept the fallacy. Now, this is a very interesting sentence, but to accept the fallacy of omnificence is to embrace the colossal error of pantheism. In other words, unlimited creation. Remember they told us that omnipotence was unlimited creative power. What they're saying is, if you think, I think this is hard. I think maybe the definitions have changed a little over time, but I think what they're saying, because they say the colossal error of pantheism is when you believe in more than one God, right? There's one God, and then there's pantheism, a pantheon of gods, like the Greeks and the Roman gods, or the Hindu gods, where there's a pantheon of different gods, and they all have power. And the Christian religion, and also the religion, what they teach us in the Urantia book, it's not necessarily a religion, it may or may not be, but is that there's one God. We believe in one God who has all the power. And then he delegates, he gives all kinds of assignments and limited power to all these other beings. But they're saying to accept the fallacy of omnificence. I think what they're saying is to believe that more than one being have creative power, have unlimited creative power. I think what they're saying is that only God has unlimited creative power. I think that's what they're saying. And if you don't believe that, then you believe in pantheism. You believe there's a whole bunch of very, very high gods with all this power. And there are, but they're not like the one God. And those gods worship the one God. That even Jesus always said he represented the Father. So we don't, and people start believing that they can be God. They start believing that they can be as equal to God, and that you can't make a mistake bigger than that.
对，其实这最后一句不是特别那个，对，泛神论嘛，就是很多神每个都有大能像希腊罗马神话当中都有很多的神，男神女神的， 然后我们信的神就是原初本源之神，它具有全能的大能，但是它呢就是可以委派委任其他的神灵低级的下一级的神灵去给他们任务去做创造的工作。但是有一些人他们就是犯神了，他们就认为他们等同于神了，跟神一样，他们也可以是神。然后就是最后一句是说，接受全创的谬论，就是信奉泛神论的巨大错误。Does that mean that, like you said, they regard themselves as God? So
Well, that's, yeah, they're
they
not
wanted
really
to be-
saying that here. They're saying to accept the fallacy of omnipotence. They're just, is to, you know, I think they're saying, I think they're talking more about if we believe that other gods have unlimited creative power. I think it's hard to say because I think they might be using the words a little differently than my dictionary is using them. But we do understand they're saying it is to the colossal error of pantheism, which is more than one God. They're saying forget the ultimate unlimited creative power is with the one God, the creative, the source and center. And omnipotence, well, you know, I mean, there's levels of I mean, I'm trying to think if what we just read, you guys might help me here. If what we just read, do you think what we just read said that the supreme or that other gods had levels of omnipotence? I think they did say that, had certain levels, like absolute or am I wrong? Or only God?
So this paragraph, first part, recognize deity omnipotence, but the first paragraph in this section, it means indeed God is omnipotent, but God is not omnificent.
Yeah. Oh, but here's
Not.
the answer. It says omnipotence embraces the power potential of the Almighty. So they're saying that God is omnipotent. I think they're saying God is omnipotent, and some of the other gods have a certain level of omnipotence, but only God, the Father, the God, the I Am, is omnificent. I think that's what they're saying.
God is omnipotent, but he is not omnificent.
Well, no, I believe he is omnipotent. Well, no, you're right. They said you're right. We did read that it did. I do remember reading that. Right. It says the that's composability. Right. God is truly omnipotent, but he is not omnificent. He does not personally do all that is done. See, that's a slightly different definition than my dictionary definition, because this definition of omnipotence means to be able to do all that is done.
Right. So here, accept the fallacy of omnificence means that philosophy that views God as omnificent.
Right, because that would be to disenfranchise the creator sons and everything. Yeah, so that would be like saying God does all of it, and they're saying no, he delegates all he creates all these creator sons and all these other beings who do a lot of this stuff for him. So they're saying but they also don't want us to think that they also don't want us to believe that they do accept the fallacy of omnipotence is to embrace the colossal error of pantheism. Well, it's a little confusing, but
I think it's just the opposite. See, embrace the colossal error of pantheism. Pantheism means there are a lot of more
yeah,
than one God.
yeah,
There is indeed many gods, right? Including the creator sense.
yeah.
I can't make connection of these two parts of the same sentence.
I know. I think the problem is that their definition is a little different than the one in my dictionary. I think that's why we're having trouble. Let me think what it could possibly mean. The fallacy of omnificence. So let's say the fallacy would be that we think God is omnipotent and he isn't. They're telling us he's omnipotent but not omnificent. So let's say we don't accept that fallacy, but if we did, then we'd also believe that there were a bunch of gods that were equally omnipotent. That I can't quite put those two together, those two ideas together either.
Okay.
But I can say this, that they're saying that pantheism is a colossal error, right? We know they're saying that. So that means you want to believe in one God. One God has more power than all the others, right? So we can say that for sure.
But meantime, we recognize there are a lot of gods who are involved in creation.
Yeah, they're involved in creation, but they're not omnipotent. They don't have unlimited creative powers. Right? So I maybe it means, maybe when it says but to accept the fallacy of omnificence, maybe they mean to accept that there are a lot of gods with unlimited creative power rather than a lot of gods with limited creative power. Omnipotence, power. It says the Supreme has omnipotence. Before I just read that, so I think it means to accept that God or his creator beings have omnipotence, like basically they're saying no, there is no omnipotence, it's only omnipotence. And no gods have unlimited creative power. Not even God, the I am, because they say, you pointed that out. They say he's omnipotent, but not omnificent. He does not personally do all that is done. I think what they're trying to say is that what they're trying to tell us is that it's tricky, because although he doesn't do all that is done, he has these other gods, these creator sons, that they don't want us to get mixed up and become pantheistic, right? They don't want us to think, oh, there's a bunch of creator gods out there. We'll pray to all of them, we'll worship all of them. They're saying they're omnipotent within their own realms. He has absolute omnipotence, but not. I think they're saying none of them are omnipotent. I mean, we're guessing here, but I think that comes pretty close. And if we started thinking that any of them were omnipotent, then we'd start becoming like the Romans and believing there's like a bunch of, thousands of gods out there. When there's definitely one God. I mean, there's one.
See how Germany says. I give it this sentence. I said how to understand this sentence. It said the sentence is a concise theological guardrail warning readers against collapsing the distinction between God's absolute sovereignty and the actual operational time-space universe that functions through delegated authority and creature free will.
Can you read that again?
The sentence is a concise theological guardrail warning readers against collapsing the distinction between God's absolute sovereignty and the actual operational time-space universe that functions through delegated authority and creature free will.
I'm not quite.
I think it's related to the primacy of God. Just
Absolutely, because if
Yeah.
you know, the minute they say that that pantheism is a colossal mistake, that says right there, we have to believe in the primacy of God. Absolutely, we can't make them. I think, and I think what you asked Gemini, right?
Yeah.
I'm a little confused with how they put free will in there. But up until then, it's basically saying that, you know, it's warning us not to get confused between, they're using the word delegate just like I did. The fact that God delegates all this authority to people, but not to get confused and think they're his equal. He's still the first source and center. But then I don't understand what they were saying about free will. Because that comes from God, so I'm not sure what they meant.
那中文是你必须保持创造者普世之父与他所创造的宇宙之间的神学分离。如果你否认授权权利、刺激原因和受造物自由意志的现实，你就不可避免地得出上帝与宇宙是一体的结论，泛神论，而这正是乌兰提亚所界定的根本错误。读不懂啊？
You know, Gemini pretty much said what we were saying, but you know, I don't put too much stock in AI to tell us about God. But you know, it's worth asking.
全能一词是并非标准神学术语，它源自常见的 omni 全知，意为所有全部，并指代一种错误的分别，全做或全执行的。
But I mean, to look at it a different way, the way you're looking at it, we're not really asking AI about God as much as to interpret a sentence, right?
I asked to explain the context of
a sentence, which they should be able to do pretty well. So I agree with their definition. I just wasn't quite sure what they meant throwing the free will thing in at the end of it. But that's okay. I think we did. I think we got the main idea they're trying to tell us. Like, don't get confused. He delegates authority to all kinds of beings, and there's different levels of omnipotence, but you know, but don't start thinking there's a whole lot of, you know, don't start becoming pantheistic on us, you know. Don't start thinking there's a whole pantheon of gods out there. There's still one God who's the boss. And I would also like to say that I'm sorry. I mean, accept my apologies for all the technical difficulties that I experienced with my new computer, but the sound is better, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll work it out this week, all the kinks. And I also want to say that I said a silent prayer. I didn't say a prayer out loud because, you know, I was late joining. I wanted to just get right down to business of reading, but I do want to thank God and Jesus for being with us tonight, and God for helping me understand some of this very tricky stuff and explaining it the best I can, and for bringing us all together. And we go ahead.
Oh, are you praying?
I just prayed, yeah.
Okay. Well, pantheism here at the last sentence, pantheism. Yeah, I think this is very good.
Okay.
I will forward to you. I think it's pantheism here does not mean many gods.
Oh, well, that could be the problem. Let me look it up in my dictionary.
The fallacy is believing that God's omnipotence, all power, means God is the direct singular cause of every event, and action in the universe. This view treats the entire cosmos as merely an extension of mediated will.
Here it says, in my dictionary, it says a doctrine that equates God with the forces and laws of the universe. And then they say the worship of all gods of different creeds, cults, or differently. Yeah, that's the one I was using. Toleration of worship of all gods at a certain period of the Roman Empire. Yeah, so there's another definition which is equates God with the forces and laws of the universe. Well, I don't think there were. I think that's okay to do that.
The pantheism is the belief that God is the same as the universe. God is everything. Everything is God.
That's what your definition says that?
Yeah. The Gemini said pantheism is the belief.
Well, that's not what my dictionary says. I'm not sure that's. Did you put that in the?
You don't read the dictionary. This what I read is reflect or summarize what Urantia book understand it. When the Urantia book states that accepting the fallacy of omnificence leads to the colossal error of pantheism, it means, number one, if you believe God directly performs every action, omnificence, you erase the distinction between the creator and the creation. Number two, if the creator is indistinguishable from the creation, then all events, all matter, and all life are merely aspects or manifestation of God's own being. This is the definition of pantheism.
Yeah, I don't believe that though. I'm using the best dictionary in the American language. All editors agree, and it doesn't say that that's the definition. So I don't know where they get that. I mean, sometimes in the obscure dictionary you might say something, but and this dictionary is wrong once in a while, but very rarely. I just don't. I believe that's a problem with New Age philosophy, but I don't believe that's the definition of pantheism.
The core message of the sentence is you must maintain the theological separation between the Creator, the Universal Father, and the universe He created. If you deny the reality of delegated power, secondary causes, and Creator free will, the fallacy of omnificence, you inevitably conclude that God and the universe are one and the same. Pantheism, which the Urantia book defines as a fundamental error. Yeah.
What did they say about?
Based on this, I understand the last sentence. Then. Yeah.
What did they say about free will?
So creator do have free will. So the creator also were involved in the reality construction, right? Not only the delegated power secondary causes are involved, but the creator also involved based on their free will. So the omnificence they claim that the God and universe is one. The universe is simply extension from God. So that not only denied the delegated power secondary causes, but also denied the creator free will.
You have to put that in the chat for me to read, but
I'm not. I got this. I'll forward to you to your message.
Okay, because I think
I'm in my phone. I cannot.
Yeah,
I use computer. Yeah.
Okay, but I just don't agree with it. I don't think that's the definition of pantheism, that it's saying that if you believe in this or that, you start becoming that his creation and him are one thing and they're indistinguishable. And
泛神论就是什么都是神。对，我明白了。我觉得他这解释特别中肯，特别准确。我听了这个我就明白了。
Yeah, it's very new age, and a lot of people believe that, but I don't believe that's the definition of the word pantheon or pantheistic. I really don't. But I don't know where they're getting that from, because I don't think that's in that sentence at all. But
就是泛神论，对，大概就是那个新时代大概就容易犯这个错误。但是玉书就跟这个截然相反。
泛神论就是说就是一个模糊的神，就所有都是神造的，就是
对，并且一
吗？
切都是神，都是神的体现，都是就是一体的。不是他们就是老天天在那喊一体一体嘛，对呀。那就是他们就认为就是万物都是神。
哪个神干什么，就是不做职责区分，就是模糊的说，就是有一个神。所有都是他造的，是这个意思吗？
对，他就是既把中间的那些造神的这些的次等神就略过去了，还忽略了受造物的自由意志，因为受造物自由意志他也参与了创造啊。你知道吗？所以我一看这个解释，我觉得这个解释是对的。这解释
就泛神论其实是一个泛神其实是一个抽象化的神，它并不是指某一个神，
不是指多个神，它是泛神嘛，就是什么都是神啊，对，什么都是神的直接的延伸啊，相当于我们都就是这些，就是没有。
那其实就是新时代的，其实就是泛神论。
对。
Anything I fear?
I just want to understand
New Age
what's
is very much concordant with the pantheism.
What? I'm sorry.
The New Age theology.
Some New Age,
yeah.
It is more like what the Gemini's talking about, where they don't believe there's any God, more like everything is one. We're all gods. We're all the same. There's no difference. He's everywhere. But that's more New Age places. Philosophies believe that there's kind of like this, like Buddha kind of stuff, like you just go into this ecstasy and this bliss, and
对，天天万物你看天天不分善恶，所以现在慢慢的知道新时代咋回事了。
You can become one with God, that kind of thing.
对 ，Yeah.
But the pantheism is more like the ancient Greeks, the ancient Romans, and I
No,
believe
no,
that,
no. But you really, Heidi, at this point, regarding this, I agree with whatever AI gives. I think the pantheism in Urantia book indeed means something else, not
but then you have to
not
find me an
whatever
old,
you read from dictionary. No.
but then you have to find me an old dictionary that says that, because you can't just guess. We're not in the
No,
business
we are
of,
not guess, but
Yeah.
if we put the understanding this way, I can understand this last sentence very well. But if you introduce whatever dictionary what says, I'm totally confused. So I don't
that's fine. That just means I'm not doing my job well, but you can't argue with the best I mean, the only thing I said was that it is possible that the word not pantheon, I don't think that's changed, that it's possible that the word omnificent has changed a little bit over time, but probably not, because the Urantia book doesn't make too many mistakes. And so I mean, they've used words that like composability, or that we don't use anymore, but you can look it up and find the old definition.
I'm fine with the dictionary meaning of omnificence. It does not have discrepancy with from whatever means in the Urantia book. But pantheism is indeed doesn't mean whatever.
To like you don't like the dictionary definition, but you prefer Gemini's definition. But unless Gemini can give me a source of where they got that definition and it pans out, then it's incorrect. You can't just give definitions to words, even if you're Gemini. Gemini was created by human beings, and they're very fallible. There's a bunch of IT guys, and there's been so much wrong with AI. It's wrong so often. But even if it were never wrong, I would still say that's not the definition of the word. They can't just make up a definition for a word. I mean, if they were to say the Oxford English Dictionary says that pantheism can mean where everything is everything, and God becomes filtered through the universe, blah blah blah, fine. But it doesn't say that. It's just giving us this random explanation, which is not what the sentence actually says. Now, I do agree with you that it's really hard for me to explain what that sentence means completely. It's easy to understand. The fallacy is to embrace the colossal error of pantheism. That's easy to understand. But to say that the fallacy of omnificence is to embrace the colossal error, it's hard to connect those two. And it's easier to connect them if we go with the AI version, but he's not backing it up. He's not giving us a source. It's easier to understand, but I don't believe it's correct. So I agree it's easier.
Pantheism means God is everything and everything is God.
Well, where do you get that? From AI or from a dictionary?
It is the belief that the universe or nature is identical.
According to who? According to what dictionary? According to what dictionary does that word mean that?
See, here the breakdown of the term referencing the context in the Urantia interpretation MD file. Etymology. The word comes from the Greek pan, all, and theos, God, all God. Pantheon.
Right. Oh, I see. Well, okay.
Core idea. There is no division or distinction between the creator and the created matter. God is not just in the universe, like theism suggests, but God is the universe itself, the core idea of the pantheism. In the context of the Urantia book, The
Okay,
Urantia book uses pantheism as a cautionary example. If one incorrectly believes God is the direct cause of every single action, in the parentheses, the fallacy of omnificence.
yes, that makes sense.
The logical result is pantheism, because if God directly does everything, then the universe simply becomes the physical manifestation of God's immediate will, thereby merging God and the creation into one entity. The Urantia book rejects this view in favor of a personal, distinct creator who delegates power and allows for creature free will.
Okay, in that case, they're giving pantheism a completely different meaning, but they believe that the Urantia book is using it in that way, and that means that that definition has to exist somewhere. It has to be in maybe older dictionaries. So I'll look and try to find it. It would make sense if that were it would totally make sense if that, I agree, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
But
all.
We can't just assume that a word suddenly has a completely different meaning than the dictionary says. But I'm gonna look up. Many words have many different
means
meanings.
God, all God. Yeah, pan is all, and theos means God, all God. Yeah, it makes sense.
Well,
So
it always made sense. It's just, is it accurate or not?
yeah, I think etymologies makes more sense. The dictionary may not be correct.
Well, this one usually is.
Dictionary is men edited and summarize it based on literature, and most literature are human written. But anyway, I forward to you both answers for the sentence and interpretation of pantheism. Okay, so let's stop.
Okay.
And